Luka Doncic and the Lakers. They open the season against the Warriors, but they will be without LeBron James as he continues to recover from sciatica. And this will be the first time since opening night of 2002 that the NBA season will start without LeBron James being available for his team. Of course, that would be because he was heading into his senior season at St. Vincent St. Mary's. I saw something that said that Kelly Clarkson had just won American Idol, that we only had USB drives hadn't been invented yet the last time we saw this.
Making me and Perk feel old.
Sorry, Brian, that wasn't my intention. Well, LeBron James, though, as he is in so many categories, first across the board, NBA history and points scored in his team's season openers, ahead of Karl Malone and ahead of Michael Jordan. Speaking of senior, now let's welcome in our newest senior writer, Dave McMenamin. He's at the Lakers practice facility. A new title for Dave to start the season. And Dave, you spoke with J.J. Redick and Luka Doncic yesterday. What is their outlook heading into the start of the season without LeBron?
Well, Malika, title is the operative word. I'm not going to sing like Perk, but I'm going to sum up my conversation with Luka yesterday. And I asked him, coming into his season, do you write down goals? Obviously, there's been some buzz about him potentially winning his first MVP this year. And he said it's just team goals. It's about championship. In order to win a championship, I have to go into the mindset every night like I'm going to win that game for my team. I asked J.J. Redick a similar question. He said, I see a parallel between us and the Golden State Warriors because we have Luka and LeBron, because they have Steph and Jimmy Butler. There is expectations on our team, and with that expectation comes the goal of a championship. Now, the Lakers will start their championship pursuit tonight with a new look starting lineup. You're going to have Luka Doncic. You're going to have, obviously, Austin Reeves, holdovers from last year, along with Rui Hachimura. But the new free agent center, DeAndre Ayton, will be in the middle. And a surprising move that we saw in the dress rehearsal in the final preseason game on Friday is Gabe Vincent in that starting lineup. Obviously, he's a steady two-way player. He was shooting the lights out in the preseason. And as J.J. Redick has told us, listen, he went through 25 different starting lineups last year. So just because Gabe Vincent is going to get the nod on opening night doesn't mean necessarily that he'll be the guy for the duration of the time that LeBron James is out.
All right. If you're looking at the Golden State Warriors, potentially a smaller team, it might make sense for this matchup to go smaller with someone like Gabe Vincent. Dave McMenamin, happy NBA season to you. Thank you very much for stopping by NBA Today. We've been talking all summer long about LeBron James. Is he going to be in a Lakers uniform to start the season? It turns out he's not, but just because of injury here. But in a Western Conference, Brian, where it feels like even now every single game matters, how do they stay afloat without him?
Well, first off, this is set up for Luka to really take over as the centerpiece of this team. LeBron, for decades, has led his team and carried them through the regular season. Now it is Luka's chance. He is in excellent condition. He had a brilliant summer at Eurobasket. He looked good when he came in to the preseason there at the end. There is no reason why he shouldn't be contending for the MVP award at the end of this year, especially if he's able to stay healthy, which was an issue last season.
I just wonder if LeBron James has been that guy, right? Expected to be an MVP caliber player on the court for years and years and years, carrying his team, waiting for whatever it is, the team to make a move, for someone to get healthy, whatever the case may be. Is there any part of this that is a little bit of that? LeBron James is sitting on the sideline saying, okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be this. Wait, but do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I mean, I think LeBron is in a situation where he can now let the season play out a little bit, and then he can come in and be the difference maker. That is something that teammates of his have had to play that role for years, whether they were coming off of injury or they were mid-season additions. So Luka, and by the way, I'm also going to shout out Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is in a contract year. He's a guy who potentially could have an all-star level season. He had a great preseason as well. He has good numbers when LeBron doesn't play because he gets the ball in his hands more. This isn't just about Luka. It's about Luka and Austin Reeves carrying some of the load while LeBron sits back and watches how the season goes.
I mean, and history tells us that Luka has had success, not individually, but team-wise, with combo guards, right? Jalen Brunson, Kyrie Irving, and now you're looking at Austin Reeves, who's coming off a career year last year, 25-5. And look, he's a guy that I'm looking at right now, and I believe he has a strong opportunity. He has an opportunity in front of him to actually put up all-star type numbers. Yes, in the tough Western Conference. And I think even when LeBron does come back, I think LeBron don't mind taking the backseat to Luka and Austin Reeves. Because even before Luka got there, LeBron James started deferring to Austin Reeves a lot. That's how he got the name. I'm Austin Reeves, I'm him.
Right.
In Memphis when he took over. LeBron said it's your show.
Right.
So again, we all know when it comes down to LeBron, there's only a handful of people that he's trusted throughout the course of his career to be able to be primary playmakers. And I'm looking at Austin Reeves to be that guy, second option for the Lakers alongside Luka this year consistently.
But for how long, right? That's going to be the question. LeBron James has been dealing with the sciatica on his right side. You've reported for months now, Sham. So when could we be seeing him make his debut?
My understanding is LeBron James is doing some more on-court individual work, but sources continue to affirm to me repeatedly he's going to take a very patient approach with this injury, this nerve issue that he's been dealing with for a few months now here. And I still look at that mid-November area that the Lakers and LeBron are really looking at for him and really eyeing for his return. But Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, they're going to have to hold the fort down. This is still a player that was an all-NBA guy last season, top 15 player in this league. So both of their productions are going to have to go up.
And my understanding, Dirk Nowitzki is going to be in a 27-8 last season when Steph Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler all played together. That's including the play-in and the playoffs. You're going to hear a lot of numbers surrounding their record. But remember that Golden State had a losing record before trading for Jimmy Butler last season. So back here with our Anthony Slater joining our desk as well, our Golden State Warriors reporter. And it's not that you look at how you start, right? You tend to look at how you finish. And I think that that's probably what Golden State was thinking with their offseason here. Because I'm looking, they added, all right, Jonathan Kuminga, Gary Payton II, Al Horford. They bring back Jimmy Butler. Draymond Green is still there. Steph is surrounded now with this very good mix of veterans. They have a lot of exciting young players. So what intrigues you about this season?
Well, my biggest question is how much are they going to play together?
Okay.
You know, tonight we know they will, right? You know, their main four, you know, older guys are going to play together. But Al Horford, they already announced, is not playing in back-to-backs. So you can strip 15 games from his season because that's how many back-to-backs they have. And you need to see the youth kind of rise above them. Brandon Pajemski, you know, is a guy, you know, entering his third season that I think needs to show a lot. And then Jonathan Kuminga, you know, I know we've had a lot of Jonathan Kuminga conversations this summer, but he's very important to them because, again, Al Horford's probably only going to play like 20, 24 minutes a game. He's a big addition, but there's going to be a lot of young guys needing to play minutes.
In talking to executives around the league, they think Al Horford is one of the biggest underrated additions that happened in the whole summer. You know, because of the Kuminga situation, it didn't sort of floated around and didn't get done till late. That was exactly the type of player they needed. And frankly, they paid him below market value. He wanted to be on the Warriors. They were able to get him below market value. But I'm just going to go with what Steph said. Steph said absolutely they think that they can win it this year. Of course.
So does Kevin Pelton, the machine.
Of course, last year, if that hamstring injury doesn't happen, we'll never know. I mean, I don't think anybody was beating the Thunder, but it took 2 7-game series. Like, I can totally get why the Warriors have a lot of excitement coming into tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these could-have, would-have, should-have about if Steph Curry didn't get hurt in that series. Sham, when we're looking at all of these options that the Golden State Warriors have, let's just focus on tonight. Who do we expect to be in the starting lineup?
So I'm told Steve Kerr is leaning towards starting Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup, which would mean Al Horford coming off the bench. And I think that's something to keep an eye on over the early part of this season. Jonathan Kuminga getting a good chunk of starts here. And so the potential lineup here that we see, Stephen Curry, Brandon Pajemski, Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, and then Draymond Green playing at the 5. And Al Horford, his age, how many years he's been in the league, and monitoring that, the back-to-backs and his minutes early in the season. And Moses Moody is another player who's injured, has a calf strain. He's going to be out tonight. He was vying for a potential starting spot, too. He will not be starting tonight. Obviously, Pajemski will be at the 2. I'm told Friday, potentially, season debut for Moses Moody from that calf strain.
So, you know, I've been married for 16 years, right?
Hi, Vandy.
Okay, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and a lot of beefs. And a lot of times in a marriage, you got to be the bigger person to go make things right. And I feel Steve Kerr, and I applaud him because he's making things right, or trying to, at the start of the season with Jonathan Kuminga, by putting him and saying that he may be starting tonight. Yeah, sometimes you got to stroke a young guy's ego. Sometimes you got to make him feel love. Because last year, he didn't feel love. He didn't feel wanted. So I think this is a great starting point for Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga, because you're going to need him. In a conference, in a league where the wings are still the most important position, That athleticism that Jonathan Kuminga brings to this team, one of the most athletic players in the NBA, is needed for the Golden State Warriors to go out there.
It's fascinating, the two games tonight. In the first game, we're going to see, if you want to throw the guys that are 6'11", we're going to see about 6 guys starting that are 6'11" or taller. In the second game, look how small. Even with Gabe Vincent on the Lakers side, small across the board. The league has got a lot of diversity right now.
To Perk's point, Jonathan Kuminga was ejected in his final moment of the preseason and went after the ref and got fined for it. And Steve Kerr came out post-game and said, I liked it. I liked the fire. And he also liked the defensive rebound on the possession and the sprinting of the floor because it was his 6th defensive rebound. So to your point, there is a little bit of that going on.
I know I've been liking you for OKC for a reason, Slade.
So Jonathan Kuminga looking to get the start tonight. Our Shams Charania is reporting here, and you have to... So reminder, we've had 7 different champions in the last 7 seasons, and that has never happened before in NBA history. However, in this era of parity, Oklahoma City's 2-to-1 odds of defending the title, they're the best by any of the defending champions over the last 7 seasons. So joining us now is our senior writer, Tim McMahon.
The energy around Dub Nation right now is electric, and you can feel it pulsing through the Bay. After a long, grinding offseason full of questions, rumors, and speculation about whether this Golden State core could still contend, we finally have our answer. The Warriors are walking into Los Angeles on opening night, fully loaded, and the news couldn't be better. Both Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga are cleared to play against the Lakers. That's right, the new-look Golden State Warriors are coming in healthy, hungry, and ready to send a message to the entire league. This dynasty isn't dead, it's reborn. The report came earlier today from Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, confirming that both Butler and Kuminga will suit up despite dealing with minor ankle inflammation. And that is absolutely massive. Let's not forget how pivotal Jimmy Butler was for this team last season, after his mid-season arrival from Miami. Once he stepped into Steve Kerr's system, everything changed. The Warriors suddenly found rhythm, balance, and grit again. Butler's leadership and his signature two-way intensity gave this team a defensive heartbeat that had been missing since their championship peak. He averaged nearly 18 points, 6 assists, and almost 2 steals a game during his short run last year. But more important than numbers, he brought belief back to the locker room. And now, with a full training camp under his belt and chemistry building alongside Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler is about to begin his first full season as a Warrior. Every time you see him alongside Curry in those practice videos, the communication, the timing, the competitiveness, you know it's something special. This is a man who's made a career out of proving people wrong, who thrives when the spotlight burns hottest. And that fire, combined with Curry's brilliance and Draymond's defensive IQ, makes this Warriors team a nightmare to prepare for. But don't overlook Jonathan Kuminga. The 23-year-old forward may have fallen out of the rotation late last season, but his raw athleticism, drive, and improved offensive touch have the coaching staff buzzing again. The Warriors didn't just re-sign him out of loyalty. They re-signed him because they believe he's ready to take that next step. Last season, Kuminga quietly averaged 15 points per game on solid efficiency, and when he was on the floor, the energy was completely different. Faster, more explosive, more unpredictable. And now, with veterans like Al Horford, Gary Payton II, and DeAnthony Melton reinforcing the bench, Kuminga can come in with less pressure and more freedom to attack. That's the beauty of this roster. Golden State managed to keep its legendary core intact, Curry, Green, Butler, while adding a mix of experience and youth that finally gives Steve Kerr flexibility again. Horford brings leadership and spacing, Seth Curry adds pure shooting depth, and Melton gives them that defensive spark plug off the bench. It's an old-school Warriors structure with a new twist, a balance of wisdom and energy that could define this next chapter of the dynasty. And let's talk about the context. Across the league, analysts and power rankings have downplayed the Warriors. ESPN's latest BPI even placed them behind teams like the Clippers and Rockets. But as Mark Spears said on NBA Today this week, the Warriors are a little low. They went to the West Finals 2 years in a row, and they're 5th. That's a shame. But you know what? Prove us wrong. That's it right there, the rallying cry for Dub Nation. This is a team that's been disrespected before, counted out before, and every time that happens, they rise. Think back to 2022, when the same voices said they were too old, too inconsistent, too broken. Then they ran through the playoffs and lifted the Larry O'Brien trophy. This group has heart, chemistry, and the greatest shooter to ever touch a basketball leading the way. Curry still looks sharp, averaging over 27 a game in the preseason and knocking down deep threes like it's a warm-up drill. His conditioning is elite, his leadership is calm, and his connection with Butler already looks natural. The matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers is the perfect opening night, a rivalry renewed, a test of will, and a preview of how much this Golden State team has evolved. LeBron James might be back from sciatica soon, but this isn't about the Lakers' comeback story. This is about the Warriors reclaiming their place atop the Western Conference. The keys to victory are clear: spacing with Horford, defensive rotations led by Butler and Payton, and Curry orchestrating every possession like the maestro he is. And let's not forget the emotional side of this. Every season we've seen Curry defy logic, rewriting what's possible for a guard his size and age. But now, with a player like Jimmy Butler beside him, someone who shares that same killer mindset, the Warriors might have finally found the perfect partner for Steph's final chapter. They both lead by example, they both grind harder than anyone, and they both know how it feels to be doubted. That's dangerous chemistry. So as we head into opening night, the question isn't whether the Warriors can still compete, it's how far they're going to go once the league remembers who they are. Health is finally on their side, the roster fits, the fire is back, and the road to redemption begins in Los Angeles. Warriors fans, this is your moment. The dynasty isn't fading, it's roaring back to life. The national media can rank them 5th, 10th, or 20th. It doesn't matter. As long as Curry, Butler, and Green are on that floor, Golden State will always have a shot. What do you think, Dub Nation? Do you believe this new version of the Warriors can shock the league again? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me your score prediction for opening night. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and join us all season long, because the Warriors are coming, and they're not done yet.